Hello viewers, welcome to the second video in the tutorial series for PHP. The topic for this tutorial is how to set up an environment into which PHP programs can execute successfully. So let's see what do we need for PHP setup. So we need Apache, MySQL and PHP stack. We can install them separately, like we can install Apache, MySQL and PHP separately, and then we can do the required settings manually. But for a beginner it would not be an easy thing, so I would recommend using existing web server solution stack packages like XAMPP or WAMP. Personally I like XAMPP more, so I'm discussing about it here only. So XAMPP consists of Apache HTTP server, MariaDB MySQL database and interpreter for PHP and Perl programming languages. Okay, next point is from where we can install XAMPP. So we can install XAMPP, we can download the XAMPP from the URL as shown on the screen. Once you have downloaded it, you can just install it at the desired location in your hard drive. So I have installed it on my local machine and here it is running. So right now, so this is actually the control panel for XAMPP. Once you install it, I mean you should be able to open this control panel and you are able to stop the Apache and start or stop the Apache and MySQL from here itself. So let's discuss about this control panel. So okay, the first thing that we talk about is netstat. So netstat defines like what are the processes that are running on the system right now and what port these processes are using. So if you see, Apache is running right now on port 80. Okay, now the question arises is what is the importance of netstat? Okay, so let's say you are running Skype on your machine. Now by default Skype runs on port 80. So you started your machine, you start Skype, so Skype is running on port 80. Now you try to start Apache from XAMPP control panel. So as soon as you try to start it, it would give an error that port 80 is in use. At that point in time, you can open this netstat and you can see which process is running on port 80. After that, you have two options. Number one, you can either kill this process or you can change the port for the Apache web server on which it is listening. So that's the importance of netstat. Moving ahead, so this is a button for opening the shell command prompt. So if you click on it, it would simply open the shell command prompt. Okay, next is Explorer. So if you click on this button, you would land on to the XAMPP folder. Okay, now let's discuss about Apache and MySQL. So you can start the Apache and MySQL services from here. So right now, let's say if I click on stop, the Apache got stopped, the MySQL got stopped as well, and you can then start from here only. So if I click on Apache, it gets started on port 80. Then I click on MySQL. So MySQL got started. Let's discuss about some key points now. The first of them is the document root. So what is actually document root? So when the web server receives a request from the client, it would serve the document from the document root. So in XAMPP, by default, the document root is htdocs folder. So you have to place your PHP project in this folder, and when a request is received, the server serves the document from this folder only. Okay, moving ahead, let's talk about the security part. So in XAMPP, so I've opened this XAMPP interface. So let's go to the security tab. So if you see, right now there are three subjects being displayed over here. One is the XAMPP page is accessible by network for everyone? Is password has been set for the root user in MySQL? And does phpMyAdmin password login is enabled or not? So by default these three are not set. So you would see the status as unsecured over here. To set them, you have to go to this URL. So once you go to this URL, you have to enter the password for the root user in MySQL, and you have to provide the username and password over here for XAMPP directory protection. So this, what happens after that is, when you save it and you come over here, the status would change to secure over here. Moving ahead, let's talk about php.ini and php info. So over here, if you click on php info, it would show you the current status of the PHP in the system. So it's right now showing that the PHP version installed is 5.6.3, and it shows all the detailed information, like what are the modules that are installed and other stuff as well over here. Why it is actually very important. When you got into any issue regarding the execution of PHP, you first have to look into this file and see is everything configured properly or not. Okay, now moving ahead, let's talk about virtual host. So what is virtual host? So I would explain virtual host with a very simple example. Let's say I have two projects, ABC and DEF. So if I have to execute them on local host, I would execute them like this on the browser, ABC, and here http localhost/def. Now let's say if I want to execute, I would like to change the URL which I am going to hit on the browser to for the same result. So I want to execute it as abc.localsite.com, and this is as, let's say, xyz.localsite.com. So how would I achieve it? It is achieved using the virtual host functionality provided by Apache. So where do you make these configuration changes? So you make these configuration changes in this file, which is called httpd vhost.conf. This file is located under XAMPP Apache conf extra. So if you go, if you open the file, you would see that there are some virtual host entries being defined over here, which are commented actually. So you would say we are using the name based virtual hosting over here. So in my case, I have created these virtual host entries. So by default, if localhost is hit, it would serve the documents from htdocs folder. If dev.uicms.org is hit, it would pick up the documents from this folder. So either if I execute localhost/yi2uicms, or if I hit dev.uicms.org, I would get the same response. So this is actually very helpful when you want to have, you don't want to run your programs using localhost, http localhost/project name, rather than you want to have a proper URL for them on your local machine. Moving ahead, let's talk about the tools for PHP development. So the first point that comes to the mind is which editor we are going to use. So I would recommend using Notepad++, and you can download it from the URL as shown on the screen. Personally I am using NetBeans, but from beginners perspective, I would suggest using Notepad++. For MySQL, I would suggest either using PHP MyAdmin or SQL Yog Community Edition. I have been using SQL Yog Community Edition for a long time now, and I am pretty comfortable on it. It's a very nice tool, very comfortable, but it's your call. You can use either PHP MyAdmin or SQL Yog. It's up to you. So that's all for this tutorial. I hope you like this tutorial. Please don't forget to click the like button and hit subscribe for notifications for more such videos. Thank you very much.